Hello and welcome to another 3D modeling tutorial from Between CAD Classes. Today I am creating the part that you see in front of you here, and I will be using Autodesk Fusion 360. We can see that this is basically 4 extrusions stacked on top of each other, so we will begin with the very back extrusion and work our way up. To begin with then, we're going to start with the diameter of 1.375 extrusion that is going to be extruded 0.15. So here in Fusion 360, I'll begin with a new sketch, and then I'm going to sketch on the front plane here. I'm going to place everything around the origin, so I'll begin with a center diameter circle, snap to the center point there, and then put in the diameter of 1.375 and enter. I'll finish the sketch, and then extrude that the distance of 0.15, and enter. Next I'll create the next feature, and it will be on this front surface here. So I'll begin with my create sketch and I'll click on that surface. Let's take a closer look at the detailed drawing here. I can see that I'm going to have a radius of 1 circle around the same center, and then I will have a radius of 0.45 circle that is at 1.375 down from the other, and 1.375 to the right as well. So once I draw those two circles, then I can connect them with some tangent lines. Then I can tackle the cutout. So let's take a look at drawing those features first. I'll start with the center diameter circle, snap to the same origin here. We're told it's a radius of 1, so that'll be a diameter of 2. Then I will have my second circle, and I'm just going to arbitrarily place it for now out here to the bottom right. And then it's going to have a diameter of 0.9, since we're given the radius of 0.45. Then I can go ahead and add in some dimensions to place this. So I'll dimension from the center of each of these circles, and then I'll click to place a horizontal dimension of 1.375. And then I'll do the same thing vertically. So another dimension from center to center, click to place it, and 1.375 again. Now that those are located properly, I'll go ahead and draw some tangent lines. So I'll start my line tool, and I'm just going to arbitrarily pick the first point, and then I'm going to look for the tangent constraint when I get to the second circle. And then I'll come back and add my tangent constraint on the other one. So I'll do the same sort of thing here. Pick a point, and then look for my tangent constraint there. I can still see my geometry is blue, it's under constrained, so I'm going to come back and add some tangent constraints between the line and the circle there, and the line and the circle there. Now at this point, I can leave it as it is and extrude it as 3 separate features, or I can trim them. I'll go ahead and trim the inside of these circles. And I get a little message that some constraints were removed, but we can see that it is still fully constrained and should be okay. I'm going to go ahead and finish the sketch, and then I will extrude this the depth of 0.25. So I'll select my shapes here, both of them in this case, 0.25, and enter. Now the part does have a hole cutting through each of these. I'm not going to add them to the individual sketches. I'm going to come back and add one hole at the very end. Next I want to tackle this little cutout. Now I could have done that as part of the original sketch, but I'm going to go ahead and do it as its own feature. That would give me some flexibility if, for example, I wanted to get rid of that cutout later. So as we look at the detail drawing here, there's a lot of detail here. We've got a radius 0.2 arc at that center point of the other arc, and then we have another one with a radius of 0.125 along that same vector from the center. And we can see we have the radius 0.25 round as well. So back in Fusion, I'm going to go ahead and sketch on the front of this shape. I'm going to start by creating a concentric circle here. So I'll snap to the center point and give it a diameter of 0.4, since we were told it has a radius of 0.2. Next I'm going to create a construction line between the centers of these arcs. So I'll just simply draw a line from the center to center here, and then I'll escape out of that. Then I will select the line, right click, and convert it into a construction line. Next I'm going to extend this construction line. So I'm going to click the modify drop down and choose extend. I'm extending this because this will allow me to locate the next circular shape over here. So I'll extend the line. Looks like I get a message that some constraints were removed. I'll investigate that more in just a moment. I'll go ahead and extend that one more time here, and then I'll press escape to get out of that. I'm going to click and drag on this line, and I can see that it lost its coincident constraint to that center point. So I'm going to come back and add that back in. So coincident, center point, and line, and now we can see that's back to where it needs to go. Next, I'm going to draw a circle in here and then make it tangent to this inside circle and the outside arc. So I'll select the center diameter circle. I'm going to snap somewhere on this construction line here, and then I'll just draw it of any size. Then I will escape out of that and come back with my tangent constraints. Make a tangent between the circle and the circle that I just drew, the circle I just drew, and this outside shape. And we can now see that it's fully constrained. We were told it has a radius of 0.125. We didn't have to add that dimension in. But if I wanted to double check it, I can add in a dimension here. And I can right click and switch it to radius and click to place it. That would over constrain my drawing, but I can go ahead and create a driven dimension just so that I can see a reporting value and feel comfortable knowing that it's the correct size. Next, I'm going to draw the other line over here for the cutout, so I'll choose my line command. I'll snap to the intersection here, and then I will snap to perpendicular / tangent of that circle, and then I'll just draw it to the edge here. I now have everything I need for my cutout. I could go ahead and leave it just as it is and cut out these two shapes. In fact, that's what I'm going to do. I'm afraid if I do some trimming, I might lose some constraints, so I think it'll be easier to just accept it as it is. So I'll finish my sketch. I will choose my extrude. I'll pick the big circle here, and then the shape here. Then I can drag it into the part, and we can see it's going to be a cut. So I'm going to change, instead of distance, I'm going to go through all, and then click OK. Then finally I can add a fillet with a radius of 0.25 here. So I'll use my fillet command, I'll select the edge, 0.25, and enter. So once again, that was one way I could have done this. I could have put it all in one sketch, but one of the reasons why I like this is it gives me some more flexibility. If I want to come in and get rid of those objects, I can right click and delete them and they are gone, as opposed to having to go in and edit the original sketch. Let's take a look at the print again, and next we have a diameter 1-inch circle that is going to be extruded up 0.5. I'll do another sketch on the top of this plane, and then I'll draw in my circle with a diameter of 1, finish that, and then extrude it 0.5. Then one last shape is going to be put right on top of this circle, so I'll go ahead and sketch on it. As we take a look at our print again, we can see that the main shape is going to have a radius of 0.688 on the bottom, and then it's going to come up 2 inches, and then we'll have a radius of 0.375 up top. So I'm going to begin by creating that, and then I'll come back in and add the slotted cutout later. So I'll go ahead and draw a circle at this same origin point. So for the diameter value, I don't have that offhand. I have the radius value. I could do the math myself, but let's have Fusion do the math for us. I'm going to put in 0.688 times 2 and enter that in. So that's always nice to have Fusion do the math for you and make sure that you don't make a mistake in transferring what you might have calculated. Then I am going to add another circle directly up above that one. This one with a radius of 0.375. Again, I could put in the diameter as 0.375 times 2, and that will calculate that to be 3/4 of an inch for me. I'm going to escape out of that, do some dragging, and I can see I'm going to need a couple of constraints here. I need a vertical constraint between it and the center point down there. So I'll choose my vertical constraint and select the 2 centers there. Next, I'll add in my dimension of 2 inches between those centers. So now the circle is fully constrained. I can go ahead and come in and add in my lines. Again, the first one is not going to be tangent, but I can draw a tangent to the second shape. Same thing on the next one. Then I can come back and add in my tangent constraints. I could go ahead and trim these shapes out. I did that on the earlier one. This time I'm just going to leave them and just have 3 profiles to extrude. Once again, sometimes when you trim, it loses some constraints, so I'm going to leave it as is. I'll finish and extrude all 3 shapes here. Actually 4 when we include that projected shape. And the depth of this one is 0.25. So next I'm ready for my slotted shape. So I'm going to consult my print once again, and I can see that these arcs have a radius of 0.2 and they are 0.625 apart. And of course they share the same center as that top arc. So back here in Fusion, I'll go ahead and sketch on that front face. So to create the slotted shape, I could draw some circles and tangent lines and trim them, but we actually have a specific tool for that. I'll go to Create, Slot, Center to Center Slot. I'll snap to the first center point here, and then I'll bring it down 0.625, and then I'll press Enter. Then I can specify the width of the slot. So we were given the radius of 0.2, so that would give us a total width of 0.4 here. So I'll put in 0.4 and Enter, and there we have our slotted shape. It looks like while I typed in 0.625 for the distance, it didn't actually put a constraint on there. You can see I'm able to actually move this arc. So I'm going to come back in with my dimension tool, and then I will just simply dimension the line here and set it to 0.625. Now it's fully constrained. I'll go ahead and finish. I'm going to extrude that as a cut, so I'll drag it into the part and change it to through all. Then I can click OK. So finally I can add the circular hole in here. So I look at the print one last time. We can see that it has a diameter of 0.75, and we can see by the hidden lines in the side view that it cuts all the way through. So I will go ahead and sketch on that front surface. Draw a circle at that origin point there with a diameter of 0.75. Then I'll finish my sketch, extrude it, and again I'll just drag it into the part. It turns into a cut, and I'll change it to through all. And there we have our final shape. Again, a little extrusion on the back. I think the most difficult part was creating this little cutout. But that completes this tutorial. If you would like to try this one out with me, there is a link to the detailed drawing in the description below. If you found it helpful, please like and subscribe, and as always, thank you so much for watching.